Okay, good morning. Welcome to, this is, of course, Cotisol International Conference, and welcome to the session, the Burnout Workshop, How to Heal the Burn. Without further ado, I'm going to turn you over to your presenter, Sydney Lee. Sydney, you ready?
I'm ready to go.
All right.
Thank you so much, Jean. Good morning, everybody. I want to thank you so much for being here on a Sunday morning. Before we get started, I want to let you all know that we are going to record the session today. You can keep your screens off if you'd like in the meantime. Oh, Mr. Host, do we have recording permission? So I'm going to assume that Jean is going to be working on the recording portion. And we're just going to get started. I'm going to share my screen now. Sharing. And here we go. The Burnout Workshop, Strategies to Help Heal the Burn. This is our schedule today. After our introduction, we will do an interactivity and breakout sessions, followed by a burnout introduction where we talk about the definition, etc., followed by another breakout session. This will be, all of these breakout sessions will be discussion based. The next, number 5, we will talk about recovery and prevention. Our third breakout session. Number 7, we'll talk about how you can take some action against burnout. And then we will have our final breakout session, our conclusion, and then we'll have time, maybe about 5 minutes for questions. What I want to make sure that you understand are objectives and specific cautions. Now the objectives. What I wanted to do with this burnout workshop was provide numerous resources for those of you who are experiencing burnout, give you a little bit of empowerment about how you can actually help yourself, and the resources will help do that as well. And I wanted to define what burnout is and identify ways that you can overcome it. My cautions are about qualifications. I am not a doctor, a therapist, counselor, or coach. I am just a fellow teacher who's experienced burnout, and I've been desperately trying to find ways in which to feel better about teaching, feel better in my life. And I'm sure that you're in the same place if you're here in this workshop, or maybe you know somebody who feels the same way. Will this workshop have the answers you seek? That's a very good question. I don't know. And I can guarantee you that I don't have all of the answers. I'm not an expert, but I've done a lot of research, and it's, I think, conversation and being able to talk about our options is a great step in the right direction. So with those things being said, I want to start our first breakout session. Let's talk about it first. So it's going to be just 5 minutes, and I want it to be a bit of a brain warm-up. It's our first session of the day. Let's talk about what burnout is. Can you give a definition of what you think it is, what causes it, and how you can recover from it? What are some things that you've seen, that you've experienced for yourself? Just a very brief 5 minutes there. I'm going to share with you in the chat window, if this works. Where's the chat window? Right, of course. And, oh, the bar, it just doesn't work. Well, anyway, Jean has the backup files. He's going to share them in the breakout sessions. So this is when we can head on into our breakout sessions for the first time today. Why is it not working? Okay, there we go. Here's our invitation. We'll see you in 5 minutes.
Jean too.
I'm gonna turn off my cat taped to the wall since he's sleeping. Okay, so how are things going?
Good, good.
Hi, Jean.
Hi, Rebecca.
Hi, I'm gonna go to the other breakout session because I'm making sure to drop off the file in the chat room. Look in the chat room, you'll see the file that she wants you to use, okay?
Okay, thank you.
No worries.
Okay. Hey, Rebecca, if you're listening, your microphone is muted.
10 months of my life got sucked away. So literally I was going to work and coming home and then going back to work. Like everything that I like to do for my downtime, I actually had to relearn how to do those things.
Yeah, sure. I'm gonna try and get myself oriented so I don't have
Okay.
glare on my
Cool.
face.
See, that's why I just used a picture today. Hi, Jean.
Hi, are you able to access the file?
It
It doesn't look like it.
I don't think so.
Okay, just a second.
Hang
Let me
on,
get.
hang on. No, give me a second. Let me check something.
Those are the questions.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, we've got the questions.
Okay,
Yeah, I've got the file.
okay.
And I think I can open it. No problem.
I'm gonna open a.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, no worries.
And we have them in our breakout room chat. So no
Good.
problem.
Okay, no worries then. I got you.
Cool. Thank you. Okay, burnout. What is burnout?
Who wants to go
Okay, welcome back, everybody. There we go, I guess. Sorry. All right, welcome back. I hope that your breakout sessions were very helpful in talking about things that you've experienced or that you've had friends experience or family members. And right away, we're going to jump into the next part. Oops, nope, we don't want to do this. Okay, we're jumping into the next part, which is burnout and introduction. So in this section, I want to talk about the definition and the causes, how to measure burnout, how to respond to it, and then I want to talk about two specific models, things that can help us on our road to burnout recovery, or yes. So the definition, you can see here we have some busy little bees, and they're surrounding three words: cynicism, exhaustion, and depersonalization. Oops, I'm going to turn this off. Let's see. So exhaustion will be not only just physical exhaustion, but this is emotional exhaustion as well. Cynicism, we all know what this is. We're just feeling very bitter and angry, and that comes out in our connections with people, especially those in the workplace, maybe even our students. The third is depersonalization, and this is where we are at a point where either we feel that we are not cared enough about, or we just ourselves don't care, and that affects the work that we do. We don't apply ourselves to what it is that we're creating for our students, or even at home in family life. Perhaps we're just so depleted, it's affecting our ability to be there for our family members. And there are 6 areas in our workplace where a toxicity does occur and where burnout can happen, or that cause burnout to happen. And this is in our workload, in control, reward, community, fairness, and values. Now, lead scientists in the field of burnout research talk about mismatches. And when they use the word mismatches, it's in relation to each of these areas where toxicity occurs. So a workload mismatch is if you are given too much work to do and it's constant. The demand is high, the gain is very little. The gain for you is very little. I believe working more for less is a term that was used in the research a lot. Control, it's where you don't have any autonomy in the workplace, where you don't have a say in what you have to do. You just have to do it, and somebody's telling you exactly how. Reward, the mismatch is if somebody who doesn't deserve an award is getting rewarded, somebody else who's getting awarded, or perhaps it could be you're not getting an award, a reward, a bonus, some kind of prize or motivation for contribution. That can even be acknowledgement. In a very healthy workplace, you have social recognition, which is where you're given praise for the work that you've done. You're seen by your colleagues and peers as having achieved something good. Next is community, and a mismatch in the community is if it's just a very toxic working environment. Perhaps there's lots of fighting, perhaps there's somebody who micromanages, or somebody who's bullying, manipulative. These are things that definitely make it difficult to want to get to work, because nobody wants the extra drama. About fairness, this can be very closely connected to reward, in that if things are not exactly fair, perhaps maybe with your schedule, you are given more work than somebody else is, or perhaps another person is constantly receiving awards or a bonus, but you are not. Perhaps it's like with the survey system at your school, and getting feedback from students, and how that affects your standing at your school if it's not exactly a fair system. And the last one is values, and it's a mismatch if the values of your workplace make you sacrifice your own, or put you in a difficult position where you have to decide and you are just not comfortable deciding. Okay, next, to measure burnout, the main researchers of burnout are Christina Mozloc and Michael Leiter. And together they created this way in which you can measure the extent of your burnout. And this is called the Mozloc Burnout Inventory. You can see along the bottom right side of the screen. And what it does is it will assess your emotional exhaustion, depersonalization, and even your personal accomplishment levels. And they'll place you in a profile. So at the top of the profile, you do not have burnout if you do not have emotional exhaustion, you're not experiencing any depersonalization, and you actually have a high amount of personal accomplishment. But on the opposite side of that spectrum, you are experiencing burnout if you are emotionally exhausted, you are depersonalized, and you have absolutely no sense of personal accomplishment. There are other profiles as well. So we have burnout at the bottom, disengaged, overextended, ineffective, and engaged. Engaged is what the goal is. Now, if you place in, for example, ineffective or overextended, that doesn't necessarily mean that you don't have burnout, but it's a severity. Like, how severe is it? You're not deep in it, but you are experiencing it on a very lower level. This inventory is available for everybody to take, but there is a fee. It's about $15, and I can give that access to you a little bit later in the presentation. Now, once we assess our burnout, how do we respond to it? And Mozloc and Leiter have talked about there are two approaches. The first approach is where you fix the person so that they are happier in the workplace. The other approach is where you fix the workplace so that the workers are happier. And it's ideal to do both approaches. But there's a bit of a problem for those of us who are living in foreign countries. That fixing the organization, fixing the culture may not necessarily be an option. This doesn't mean that there isn't hope. Starting with yourself can definitely give you a lot of relief. And there are things that you can do in your workplace, perhaps with your coworkers, to make work life much better. And that's a fantastic start. But more on that a little later. The empowered thinking model. Now, I've included this here because I want you to feel empowered. You can do this. You can help yourself get out of the burnout, get out of that crappy feeling of everything is out of my control. There's nothing that I can do. You can even get into a downward spiral of, what is my future going to be like? I can't see myself in this field forever, or as long as I had thought I would be. And you can fix where you are. You can change this. And Chase Milke, in his book, The Burnout Cure, he talks about using this empowered thinking model. We can change our outcome. So we have a desired outcome, and we can change this by changing our awareness, which can change our attitude, which can change our actions. And this makes us change our outcome. So it's a series of things that we can do to change what it is to change things as they are into what we want. And he said you could look at this from like a process approach, a series of steps, very linear and lateral. But it would be probably more accurate to try it from a cycle approach, because our attitude, our awareness, and our actions are all affecting each other as we're going along. And you don't necessarily have to start with one place in particular. Sometimes a change in an action that you're doing will build your awareness, and it can help change your attitude, etc. And the last model that I want to talk about is the Perma model of well-being. And this is by Martin Seligman, and he is the founder of the field of positive psychology. And he talks a lot about how happiness and well-being are so extremely vital to our just enjoyment of life. And he talks about, PERMA. PERMA stands for the positive emotions. Some of us may be genetically inclined to depression and pessimism, especially if depression runs in your family. This doesn't mean that you can't be happy, but with knowing this, there are things that you can do to find happiness in life and to maintain happiness. He talks about engagement, and there's a book about it by Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi. The name is so long, and I do apologize. I can't pronounce it properly, but flow. It talks about flow. When you are engaged with your work, you're meeting challenges with the strengths that you have, you get into a flow-like state. And sometimes sometimes even time passes without even realizing that it's passed. I think positive relationships and accomplishments are pretty self-explanatory, meaning I'll elaborate a little bit in that if you are belonging to a bigger mission in life, and you let that affect what it is that you want, and that affects your motivation, then you can be happier as you're working to achieve and be a part of that something bigger. And this is where we're going to step into our second breakout session. So the workshop interactivity, we're going to have these questions here. What aspects of your workplace are toxic, looking at the workload, control, reward, community, fairness, and values? And what things have you tried to counteract the toxicity? Second, burnout is caused by what Mozloc and Leiter call mismatches in the workplace. Do you think that these mismatches can be fixed where you work? Why or why not? And number three, if your workplace does not correct the existing mismatches, do you feel that leaving the workplace is an option? And explain your reasoning for that as well. And with that, at some point, you'll see a notification about joining a breakout room. There we go. And I'll see you in 10 minutes.
It's just waiting for someone else. Or is it just the two of us?
I'm not sure.
Hit you too. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So I guess we could start talking about the first question.
Yeah.
How about you?
Yeah, now I'm at Kobe University, and it's nice. It's very small faculty. Like there's only me, my direct boss, and one other colleague. We're like the only 3 foreign English teachers. So it's a very small team, and there's no, what's it called? Blanking on the word. Where like someone tells you this is the way the course is, you have to teach these books and this lessons. Like it's very hands off. So I have a lot of autonomy to build my classes how I want, and we have almost no meetings during the semester, which is nice too. So yeah, there's really no toxicity where I'm at right now, which is good compared to what
Works because some people are just so negative that they just want to get you every day, even if you stay out their way. I don't know, for me personally, I just said, okay, I'm gonna get up today, I'm gonna go to work, I'm going to do my job.
Yes.
And you know, interact with the students like I'm supposed to, help where I'm supposed to, and that's it.
Yeah.
And even with that construct, that still negative outside force wants to
what we're doing the whole semester. It's a bit different, yeah. Do you know, what was the second question?
Mismatches in the workplace. Do you think these mismatches can be fixed where you work, and why?
Okay. So at your university, is there anything that you would want to change if you could?
I mean, I guess job security, maybe.
That's the case, I think, for most of us, though, right? How long? It's like a 4-year or 5-year contract?
For me, it's a one-year contract. I'm a part-time worker there.
Okay, but usually the part-time, it's usually automatic renewal, right? So
yeah,
kind of.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, for full-time, don't care about this class. It's like,
Yeah.
you know, that's the scary thing. I mean, I've even had one teacher who lost it in my class and
Oh my God.
like physically abused a student.
Wow.
And I teach young learners, so this kid was like in the 3rd grade.
Too. Oh my God.
And it shocked me so bad. I mean, luckily I had coping mechanisms where I could tell the teacher, you know, like, okay, we're gonna go outside and you're gonna count to 10.
never thought you have to do that with a teacher.
I never thought I had to do that with a teacher. I thought I would have to do it more with myself, if anything,
Yeah.
and had to calm them down. And then to turn around and then still teach. I mean, those kids were so scared. That is a look I never, ever, ever want to see in a child's face ever again.
Yeah.
It scared me. It made me so sad that I cried when I got home.
He's born in Japan, yeah. I've
Nice.
had like a North American education in Japan.
Okay.
Yeah.
So even for you, it's hard to get like full-time stable jobs, because your Japanese, I imagine, is pretty good, right? So
Yeah.
you have the bilingualism, which is like a limiting factor for a lot of the key jobs that I've seen. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I didn't do the whole job hunting thing when I graduated college. And now I'm in this position where it's difficult to, I don't think, transfer over to a full-time job, maybe.
Because just the way the Japanese
Okay, everybody should be almost back now. And I hope that you had a good session in your breakout room. So next we're going to move onwards and we're going to talk about burnout, the recovery and prevention of it. In this section, I have 5 categories. If I had my druthers, I would have changed the categories a bit, but this is based on research that I started doing a couple months ago. And since then, I've had some changes, but we'll stick with the original plan. First category, authentic self-care. Second, self-awareness and improvement. Third, relationships. Fourth, technology. And number 5 is books. Now, authentic self-care. This, we know what self-care is. Over the past year, we've probably done a lot of it. Our initial thought is that this is time for ourselves. Things that we do to make us feel happy, make us feel better. But this may not necessarily help us. And then I'll give you an example, a personal example. Let's see, when I was particularly stressed and really burned out about 2 months ago, how would I handle it? I would escape from the world and I would dive into Netflix and binge it for an entire day. This is not authentic self-care, because while this is a great escape, I shouldn't be escaping from life. I should be doing things that are actually making it better and making me feel better. So authentic self-care is looking at where the mind, the body, and the spirit interconnect, and making sure that what it is that you're doing is a great benefit to you in all areas. And I'll give an example. Perhaps you have a real big interest or passion in a certain area and you really want to take a class. Practicing authentic self-care would be researching more about a course you can take, or maybe even filling out an application. It could even be sitting down and creating that financial plan so that you can pay for that class. These are things that will really benefit you in the long run. They benefit you now because they're giving you progress and you're processing, you're focusing on something that gives you energy and passion. And you're also focusing on the future and how you can make the future better. So with that, you can practice authentic self-care. Number 2, self-awareness and improvement. And I'm going to give you an example. Things that, just a visualization. You can close your eyes if you want, but imagine you are standing in front of a door and you feel you just feel stuck and you feel frustrated because you can't open that door. So what do? You look around and at your feet you see a couple of different keys. So you think, okay, well, which key do I want to pick? Let's see, I'm going to choose the Mindfulness Key. I'm going to pick it up, try the door, and it will help you open the door. And in addition, it will help you face whatever is on the other side of that door. And you can choose any one of these keys. You can choose to focus on emotional intelligence in your life, mindfulness in your life, professional development, and you can use these things. And they will help you open this door, face this challenge that you're facing now, and also face whatever lies on the other side of that door. And if you come across a door that has more than one lock, you can pick up another key and you can use that key to help you. And these keys you can use on any door. So that's an important image. This is the empowering thing. You can help yourself, and all you have to do is just pick one key. The alternative is you stand behind the locked door with a bunch of keys at your feet and you stay there for a couple of years and you feel worse and worse and worse over time. So which one would you rather do? Pick a key or just kind of stay in the same place and feel the same things? Number 3, this is about relationships. And I'm taking this information specifically from this book here, Teacher Wellbeing by Sarah Mercer and Tammy Gregerson. They talk about in their chapter on relationships, firstly about emotional intelligence. And this is, it's including 5 categories here. Self-awareness, which is recognizing and understanding the feelings that you are feeling. Self-regulation, so you're aware of your feelings, and then how to manage them. Internal motivation is how you get the interest, the energy, the drive to do something. Empathy is understanding and is understanding other people's feelings. And social skills is working with people, knowing about those feelings. You can also look at the teacher-student relationship. Now, as teachers, for those of us who are teachers, building and focusing on creating a relationship with our students is important because it will help us. It will reduce our burnout. It will heighten our classroom management skills and reduce conflicts. It'll make our students happier to work together. And when our students are happier, they learn more. So ultimately, this makes our jobs much easier as teachers. The second part is the teacher and coworkers, and then the community. The community aspect can be working with parents or with bosses or even with family and friends. So when you create a mentoring and a collaboration, in the workplace, you can have reduced burnout again. You can increase your motivation. You can increase your work retention. You'll stay at your job because you'll be happier in what it is that you're doing. And you'll have increased feelings of belonging. And this is very important for your mental health as well, feeling like you belong there. And one of the most important parts that they mentioned was preventing taking the negative emotions that we feel and taking them home. Because we don't want all of the garbage that we're dealing with at work to affect our marriage, our kids even. So with that, we'll go into category 4. And in my objectives, I talked about providing you with resources, and these are the resources. I created a workbook, and after I wrote the workbook, I realized that it wouldn't necessarily be beneficial to this workshop, but I am including it in a website that I've made. Here you can see the keys. They're talking about, remember those keys when you're stuck at a door, things that will help you get through any barriers. And this is self-improvement. Talking about difficulties, and these can be things from like habit forming or even marriage, parenting. If you've experienced trauma, if you have stress or anxiety, these are difficulties that you're coping with, you're trying to cope with, and there's information here on how you can move forward. This section, leaders, scientists, and coaches, we need sometimes to have somebody to light the way. And these are people who are the experts. They are the top in their fields. They have the thing that we need to go forward, and it's just a matter of finding it. And this leads us to tools. There are so many things that we can do on our own, such as creating a vision board or an inspiration board, things with quotes. We can use Audible for audiobooks. Like if you're so busy you don't have time to read a book, you can just listen to a book while you're food shopping or while you're riding a bus to work or driving to work. And this workshop is also included in the Tools tab. And there you can access the video recording for this workshop, the workbook, and this PowerPoint presentation. So this aspect falls under technology because so much information is right available at our fingertips. And not just from these websites, it's out there. Even if it's not on this website, it is out there. And it's just a matter of finding the right keyword sometimes in order to get that information we need. Number 5 is books. And I talk about books and I don't include them with the self-improvement because this is specifically for those of us who just want just one place that we can start to look. And if you are a book person, I'm a book person. I recommend them to help you with your burnout. Banishing Burnout and The Truth About Burnout. These are by the lead scientists in the field of burnout. They've been researching it since the 1970s. And while these books are a little on the older side, I think this one's from 2000 and this one is from 2005, the information is so relevant and it's still very helpful. And I recommend starting with these, also with this book, Teacher Wellbeing. This was recently published just at the end of last year. And it is a wonderful, very approachable book, and it's very helpful. The Burnout Cure is very good. This is for teachers in general, whereas this one is for language teachers. This one is just for any kind of teacher. And this one about flourishing, finding happiness and well-being, it's not exactly about burnout, but it's about a good next step. Okay, once you figure out what burnout is and what you can do with it, you can focus more on building up yourself and creating happiness and finding happiness in your life. This is by Martin Seligman, and he is the founder of positive psychology. And with this comes our third breakout session. And in the session, please talk about what are some examples of authentic self-care. This can be a bit challenging. So remember, authentic self-care is not an escape from what it is that you're struggling with. It's not a way to numb the pain. It's a way that you can focus on building yourself up and doing things that you need to do that will make you feel better. Second, what are some strategies for developing self-awareness? So these are the keys. So perhaps emotional intelligence, resilience, mindfulness, motivation. What can you do to build those things up? 3, how can you enhance the relationships and support systems at your workplace? This is a great way to start fixing the burnout you're experiencing as a result of your workplace. Talking and engaging with people, creating a support system is a great way forward. So please, when you see the little box asking you to join a breakout session, join and give these things to think together.
One is fine, I guess. Sometimes it's a nice soothe, but what are some things that you do outside of alcohol? Oh, yes, Jean?
Yeah, can I ask, can I get a volunteer to go to the other one? Because 2 of the people are not joining it. Somebody here can go to the other breakout room?
Bye. Send me Eric.
Yeah,
Okay,
I can go.
thank you.
Bye.
Okay, so okay, so we're here.
We're here. What are some?
Is just do some little like exercises just to keep my health. But yeah, welcome, Steve, Eric. How about you guys?
Hello. I'm going to take notes. Is that okay? And then post them?
Sure.
Okay, other people. No problem. No problema. Okay, so you said like physical activity.
Yeah, that was the first thing that I stopped doing once COVID online, teaching quarantine. And yeah, it really, really messed up my health, my mental clarity, not having the routine that I normally did. So yeah, staying fit, my diet too, changing, like eating more healthy, cutting out.
Yeah, I mean, COVID's been kind of weird that way, right? I feel like I got less physical activity because I'm not walking around the campus and stuff like that, but because I'm cooking all my own food, I'm eating better than I was, especially at lunch when I'd go to whatever burger joint was near the office, right?
Yeah, it's interesting because at first it was really bad, like burnout, but COVID made me aware of all these issues in my life that I should have probably addressed a while ago, but I was just too lazy, or I was just doing the status quo, my routines. But like you said, learning, like cooking, eating better, more exercise, changing up my lessons to make them a bit less stressful for me, like less grading for me, or easier for the students, so they also didn't have so much burnout, like trying to balance how much homework.
I'm typing this down as refocusing my self-expectations and then refocusing my teacher habits to reduce high workload.
And Steve, it looks like you also do the workouts, huh? I see that you have the workout set behind you.
Steve, sorry.
There's no audio though, Steve.
Yeah,
But you're not
Steve.
You're not on mute though.
I'm sorry. Yeah,
Okay.
my microphone was turned off.
Okay.
Yeah, actually putting that thing together threw out my back, so I haven't been able to.
Gambate kudasai.
Huh?
Gambate kudasai. Mo ilbone so yo.
Yeah, but I use through this last year, I used a lot of meditation to try to center myself and try to kind of find peace in all the anxiety, because like in Japan, and probably the same thing in Korea, at the beginning of the year, we didn't know how we were going to start, and it kept getting pushed off. So we were kind of like, it was like, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? And the university kept on saying, we're going to do this, but then they changed their mind.
Yeah.
And like Jason, like you said, the students, especially the students, they uprooted from their hometowns. They came to a new town and they immediately moved into the new apartment and were told not to leave for 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's awful.
And then they didn't have any physical face-to-face interaction with their peers. They weren't able to join clubs. They weren't able to make the relationships that they should. And so they had a lot of anxiety. That's why, like, I've often called 2020 the year of empathy, because it was the year that we really had to learn to empathize with our students.
For sure.
And help them through and try to make them feel welcome and try to connect them, which is why in all of my Zoom classes, I used a lot of breakout rooms so the students would have interaction with each other, using the randomize feature a lot to get them so they could speak to a lot of different people and meet a lot of different people.
Yeah, definitely the synchronous classes were important. I know so many professors that just did asynchronous, recorded some lessons, and that was kind of it for them. Like a lot of the Japanese professors did that, and that made me so angry because, like, how can you do that? It's a
disservice to the students.
Yeah, it's so bad. So,
well, our answers to these questions are kind of getting all overlapped with COVID, and each question is getting overlapped on top of each other, right?
Yeah.
I hear you saying that you felt like working with students to solve their incoming issues increased your empathy. Do you feel like it
Okay, well, welcome back everybody from Breakout Sessions. Let's go to the next part. The next part is taking action. So we've talked about the definition, what it is, how you can measure it, ways that you can approach tackling it, things that you can do on your own, and now an action plan. So first, we're going to talk about planning your action, and there are 3 options for you to choose from. The 4-step action plan, and this is by scientist Mozloc and Leiter. The 6-step action plan, this is something that I put together looking at mental health recovery plans. I'll elaborate more on that later. Create your own plan looking at options A and B. You can create option C, and some cautions about that as well. And the second part, I have strategies, and I'm not going to go into detail here because I have everything written in the workbook, and I'm definitely going to share with you the link for the website in the chat, so you can do that on your own. I'll also add that information in with this workshop back on Eventzilla, but getting started. So action plans. I already talked about options A, B, and C. So the 4-step action plan is by the leaders of burnout, of the burnout research. They talk about 1, defining the problem specifically. What are the exact problems that you are facing? And it's important to be specific so that you can set up objectives in step 2 that will address those. And with step 2, setting objectives, you also need to be specific. Specificity is really key. Step 3, taking action builds off of step 2. And this is, let me think for a second. Setting objectives and then taking action. I apologize, I set my timer. Taking action, you can only do this if you have a set plan. What actions are you going to take in order to try to meet your objectives? And they, in their book, offer specific actions. They recommend specific actions as well. And step 4 is tracking your progress. They provide a specific tracking sheet because journaling about these things is important, so that you can even notice the very small bits of progress that you're making. Sometimes it may seem insignificant, but really it is a significant step in the right direction, no matter how small it is. And it's important that you reflect, so that you can move forward. If you're going to choose this 4-step action plan, you really need to purchase their book called Banishing Burnout. I mentioned it in category 5 books as one of the books to get started. And moving on to step 6. This is something that I created looking at mental health plans. And mental health plans, they create them for people who are having difficulties with addiction, or maybe even schizophrenia, things that are very challenging, something that you need to guide you through to recovery as like a base. And go back and touch base, and go back and touch base, and you can move forward. And this does not necessarily mean that your burnout is that severe to be on the same line with the symptoms of schizophrenia or addiction, whichever level that is. But by step 1, pinpointing your problems and difficulties. 2, creating specific goals and a timeline, including reflection. 3, determining your strengths, which you can determine this on Martin Seligman's website for free. And identifying hobbies and interests that can help you in this process. So if you enjoy jogging or bike riding, or if you enjoy like knitting like I do, or needlecraft of some kind, you can use these to help you overcome the challenges and the setbacks. Finding a support system is very important. Finding somebody that you can talk to, somebody who's safe to talk to, who will encourage you, who can, double check things with you if your goals are realistic, if you are overstepping some personal boundaries as you're going along. And last one is identify and discovering your coping strategies. If you have if you know about yourself that you have a lot of anger and some anger issues, or even stress, a lot of stress, you can specifically research coping strategies to help you deal with it. And you can incorporate it into your plan so that when you're feeling those things, you can look, I'm going to do this now. And I'm going to get it under control. And this will help build your resilience so that you can bounce back after each of those difficult setbacks or those difficult challenges that you meet. So having this 6-step action plan, it creates more detail and it lets you know what your options are, especially in situations that are challenging and that can be overwhelming. Sometimes having an answer right there already figured out is tremendously helpful. The third option is create your own plan. This is something that you have to be very careful with because you don't want to create a plan that is too simple and too vague, because then you won't be successful in your endeavor. You might end up feeling more of a failure instead of a success. And with this, I should state that with any plan that you choose, you need to keep in mind that there is no quick solution. There is no overnight plan. There is no overnight fix to this. You have to spend the time. You have to dedicate whatever it is that you're doing to you are worth so much more than just it's not meant to be, God, if it doesn't happen right away. You are worth having an actual plan because you deserve well-being and you deserve happiness. So you got to think about if you're going to create your own, make sure you research, make sure you talk to somebody, and make sure that your goals and your objectives are reasonable. I have that problem of biting off more than I can chew. So talking about what you can do with that, and keeping in mind that you need to have a very reasonable take of the amount of time it will take to get to complete wellness. It's not going to happen overnight, but you can get there. Strategies. I'm not going to go into detail about the strategies because they don't require very much explanation. They are in the workbook and they are available on the website that I've created. It's under Tools, the Burnout Workshop. I also have it on the homepage. This is the homepage. So if you scroll down, the workbook will be there as well with a reminder about some steps, what you can do first. So these are things that that can help you now. These are things that will help you perhaps figure out certain coping strategies. For example, if you're researching about one of the keys, one of the tips is if you're reading a book, you look in the references in the back, see if there's something related. Something like these strategies like this, or maybe go and give somebody a hug, somebody in your family, maybe give a friend. There's also, what to do in the case of Corona, little sub memo as well. So things that you can do right away, they are here for you, and you can find more with each book that you read, with each little video that you watch that you can find on this website. You can find more strategies to help yourself feel better and conquer burnout. It is doable. And this is our last breakout session. So let's talk about the questions. Which of the 3 action plans are you thinking of using, if any? And explain your reasoning. Number 2, what specific aspects do you think are the most important to include in an action plan? What is the least important thing to include in an action plan, and why? What difficulties do you expect to face after you have finished writing your action plan and have started actively working on it? These are things that maybe you know about yourself, maybe you know about your workplace, some predictable things, and then you can plan accordingly. And with that, we will get a notification soon about our breakout session. Join up and have a good discussion. I'll see you on the other side.
the first two, we were trying to identify what we thought it was, and then we were identify. Okay, hang on. I got it. It's all in my chat, but which you can't see, right? So, what is burnout was the first one. Second one was what practical things do you see that are causing burnout in your life, and what can you do about it?
Okay, here.
Which was kind of what was going on in 3 too.
Right.
And there's 4. I posted 4. Did I post 4? No, I didn't post 4. There's 4.
Yes, I can see it. Thank you.
We just share what's worked for us, I guess. That's probably what we joined this workshop for, I guess, to learn some new strategies that might help us out, right?
Yes.
And do you mind if I take and post notes? This is just habit for me.
Not at all.
Say no if you don't want me to. I don't mind.
Looking at the things that you can do to help you.
Yep.
Next question, what specific aspects do you think are the most important to include in an action plan?
I think I'll start off with this one. For me, I would say I focus more on what the goal is, which can cause more stress, but for me works well. Probably wouldn't work for everyone. But for each step, what do I want to get out of it? And then once I achieve that, I can move on, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah.
So pretty much just what's been working for you? What have you looked into this past year during COVID? And
yeah, as I was listening, I was thinking, I'm an educational psychologist, so I've taken some classes, and my wife is a, I guess you'd say it, yeah, counseling psychologist. So it sounded like dialectical behavioral therapy, where you work with somebody to identify your problems and then create a plan to work on them. So that's what I got.
Yeah,
I got what you just said, Jason.
That was the gist of it. Yeah, me too. Like learning sciences is my main interest besides teaching abroad. So reading a lot of books on like happiness and anxiety and stress. And I was just looking at her website, and she has a lot of like the keys that she was showing, all these different areas, all the key researchers like Seligman and Dweck, and just reading a lot of books and trying to get strategies to figure out like little tweaks in my life to make things easier and better for me. So like Steve was saying with the last breakout session, meditation has helped, like trying to find some apps on smartphone to force myself to take 10-minute breaks throughout the day, and yeah, stuff like that. But how about you guys? Anything new? Eric, since you come from a family of psychologists, anything specific that's worked for you guys this past year?
Family of psychologists, family of psychos, and we are, right? You know, and it's like we were talking about with Steve as well, right? And COVID changed everything. Everything is now interlaced with
I guess, yeah, Strava helps, give a kind of framework, right? And I think that that's very helpful, because if you don't have a person, Strava is kind of like a crowdsourced accountability method. So I found that to be very helpful as well. I started going on long, like 40-kilometer, 50-kilometer bicycle rides during COVID. And I started up an accountability group. So one is for writing and just trying to get some writing done, because when I'm in my office and I know my colleagues are around, I feel a little bit motivated because I know everyone else is working on whatever we're all working on. But working from home over the past year, I don't have that incentive. My cats certainly aren't working, so I don't feel a lot of incentive to be, sitting down and writing and, sustain.
For to party a lot more on the weekends and do their work. I can't tell you how many times I've had friends on Facebook who would literally put this on Facebook, and I would question that. I'm like, why are you telling me that you're so hungover right now and you're in school? That's not good.
Wow.
You shouldn't be posting this. And then put a smile emoji next to it, like hee hee. I'm like, that's not a hee hee.
No.
That's a problem.
Definitely.
So there had been times where, yeah, we would all get the general letter about drinking. And I'm like, oh wow, that means someone in the group of us are having some issues coming to work smelling like alcohol or being hungover or being drunk.
Wow.
So I mean, I think that's the one thing a lot of people see it, but they don't really talk about it.
Mm.
And especially that's why I always say, like, younger teachers should not come. Like, don't come here.
Social group drinks, so we just get together and vent.
Oh, that's great. That's great. And I think what no one realizes too is that I learned if you want to do certain activities, don't do it where you teach.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many people have gotten caught that way. And I'm saying, well, why did you have such a party like close to your house? Like no. If you want to do that, go to Seoul, go someplace else. Like,
big groups parties, but since COVID, and my wife's like a nurse, so we have extra like care we have to take. Like, we're not supposed to meet people, we're not supposed to travel, like her regulations for her job and stuff like that. So that's also been an extra kind of like thing we had to worry about this past year, not meeting too many friends or not trying to make new friends. Like, one of my goals before COVID started was to join a lot of different conference groups and get more involved and try to present more. And then like the next like month COVID hit, and then I went the opposite direction. Like, I lost touch with lots of people. And yeah, my workplace too, we don't have a lot of colleagues. I have just my boss and one other coworker only that I see and interact with. So I don't really have any colleagues at work that I deal with. And students, it's been a bit distancy as well. So definitely there's social, like doing like Zoom calls doesn't do it for me as much as like meeting for
Okay, and everyone should be back from the breakout sessions. I hope that this breakout session was very helpful and that all of them were very helpful for you. And I do apologize that we are running a bit over time. I am usually very on time with my classes, and so it's bugging me a little bit, but we're going to move on anyway. And all that's left to do is our conclusion. So I just want to review very quickly about things you can do to get started. And that's with any of the books that I recommended. If you're a book person, the website is a really great place to start because there are just so many resources right at your fingertips, and it can be overwhelming, which is why I created the workbook. A workbook is the great place to start, and you can figure out your own plan of action, which is the last thing I'd like to review. Just pick one of the 3 options, do a little bit more research, and you can create something for yourself that will help you overcome whatever, all of the stuff that you're feeling, all of the stuff that you're struggling with. And I'm going to leave you with a quote. You can use this mind either to create well-being or misery for yourself. Everyone has this choice. You've attended this workshop, and what you choose to do next is up to you. And whatever you do, it can either help keep the status quo, or you can use it to create well-being for yourself, create some happiness, create some relief. And I hope that this workshop has been helpful for you. If you have any questions, please, you can email me, sydneylee.teacher@gmail.com, Sydney as in Sydney, Australia. And you can also reach me on the website. In the About tab, you can see a letter from me and then a contact form. And I just want to thank each of you for attending this workshop. And I look forward to meeting you next time. References, they are also in the workbook that I present. And now we have about 5 minutes for questions, if anyone has any. Open the chat. Chat window does not work for me on my one computer, but luckily the other. Thank you very much, Becky. And let's see. If anyone has any questions, you can add them in the comments, or you can speak up here. But either way, I wish you all the best in your burnout recovery. No questions currently, but
I have a question.
Try to once again send. Stop the share. I'm going to try to once again share the link for the website if you need it. Just in case you didn't see it or can't find it above. And that's it. I hope it's helpful.
I have a question.
Oh yes, Ray. I'm sorry,
I
didn't. You raised your hand before.
Right.
Oh, you're on mute.
I'm on mute. Really? Oh yeah. So do you alternate between like?
Oh wait,
different...
I still can't hear you.
Really? I'll write it out.
Oh, it's because of my headphones. Darn it. Yes. Sorry.
Do you like alternate between different plans for you, Cindy?
Do I alternate between different plans?
Like A and B and C, depending on where you're at in life.
Oh, I'm still in the midst of researching for my own plan. I think the thing that I will end up going with is plan B, option B, because I like having strategies right away that I can use. When I'm feeling really stressed out or angry, I feel those emotions very strongly. And it's a discussion I've been having with my husband about how I can better manage them. And I think by looking at the things that I'm interested in, I can use them to deal with those stronger emotions that I feel. And I also want to develop some other more specific coping strategies as well. Right now, the things that I'm doing are I journal in the morning. I was telling Gene in an email this morning that while he was drinking his coffee, I was quickly jotting some things down. And I'm also trying to do a bit more meditation, so incorporating those things into my plan. That's a great question.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
To develop a plan too. I don't
Yeah.
have a big plan, but I have different things I do, but not like defining the problem and then,
Yeah.
setting objectives, taking action. So
Yeah.
I thank you for the presentation.
Oh yeah, of course. I'm hoping that all of this information wasn't too overwhelming, but that you can get something out of it. So if we can incorporate things that we already do to make ourselves feel better into the plan, that's more chances of it being successful, more chances of us being successful in overcoming burnout. So,
yeah. Okay. Any others? Thank you so much, Sydney. It's been a very great presentation. It's been, I know that I've been quiet, but I've been enjoying the conversation throughout. So thank you for your presentation.